Carl Lanning from Brazos River Charter School. It's time for This Week in History, specifically November the 17th through the 23rd. Well, we have sort of an unfortunate theme this week, and that's presidential assassinations. First of all, November 22nd, 1963, downtown Dallas, John Kennedy was assassinated. There have been a number of conspiracy theories that have sprung up about Kennedy's assassination, and I think I know the reason why. Nature abhors a vacuum, and there is a vacuum of facts. And when you have a vacuum of facts, it tends to get filled with conspiracy theories, usually involving these two men. This is Lee Oswald, who was Kennedy's alleged assassin, and I believe he is the one who did it and acted alone. Yeah, I'll probably get some comments about that one, but I'm sorry, I just haven't seen any proof otherwise. Being taken out of the Dallas jail, being led to he was going to be taken to the county lockup. This was 2 days after Kennedy's assassination. This is Jack Ruby. Jack Ruby was a nightclub owner about to pull the trigger. By the way, this was the first murder ever seen live on television. Well, you've got the two men here who could have answered a whole lot of questions. He was dead. Ruby was locked up in jail awaiting trial. He died of cancer. He did answer some letters from the press, but his letters are all over the place. He never says the same thing twice, so it's kind of hard to trust anything that Ruby really says. So therefore, you have a vacuum, conspiracy theories fill it up. So, Kennedy's assassination, November 22nd, 1963. Now, I'd like to move on now to one of our lesser-known presidents. And I showed you this photograph. This is President James Garfield. President Garfield was born November 19th of 1831. He went on to be elected our 20th president in 1880. Now, we have no idea what kind of president he would have made because only 4 months after taking office, a deranged office seeker, a man who believed he had been promised a job in the U.S. Embassy in Paris, shot President Garfield twice. As proof of the man's insanity besides the murder, the revolver that he purchased, he said he did so because he thought it would look good in a museum one day. Garfield was undoubtedly a brilliant man, and we'll come back to that in a moment. Garfield, though, shot twice while standing on a train platform in Washington, D.C. He had a nearly 2.5-month, very slow, painful, lingering death, unfortunately. What we do know about Garfield paints a rather impressive picture. He may have been our poorest future president at birth, and he was the last one to be born in a log cabin. He pulled canal boats in his teens to help support his family. He started college, he worked as a custodian and part-time student, but within a matter of just a few years, he was the professor of ancient languages. Friends said that he had the ability to write simultaneously with both hands, Greek in one hand, Latin with the other. I'm pretty sure the only reason I even have a left arm is so that I don't tilt too far to the right. It kind of balances me out. He became the president of Hiram College in his mid-20s. Later went on to earn a law degree, became a major general in the United States Army during the Civil War, served in Congress for over 20 years, and he even wrote, and I'm not quite sure exactly what this is, but it was an original proof, an original trapezoid proof of the Pythagorean theorem. So languages and mathematics. Now, intersecting with Garfield's life, though, is something a little bit strange. And that is the life of Robert Lincoln. Robert Lincoln is President Lincoln's only child who lived to adulthood. He was Garfield's Secretary of War. Robert Lincoln was in the room when his father died. He was standing a matter of a few steps away from Garfield on the train platform when Garfield was shot. As I said, he was the Secretary of War. And in 1901, at the Pan American Exhibition in Buffalo, New York, he was attending, so was President McKinley. The two did meet. McKinley was shot and died several days later. This shook Robert greatly, and he made it a point of never being anywhere near another president for the remaining 22 years of his life. But we get another odd one. The year zero, the curse of zero. we have had a grand total of 8 presidents who have died in office of one cause or another. All of them, 0 is involved. 7 of the 8 were either elected or re-elected in years ending in 0, except for Zachary Taylor, and he was elected in 1848 but died in 1850 while in office. So again, a 0. So we've got Harrison, Taylor, Lincoln, Garfield, McKinley, President Harding, Roosevelt, and Kennedy. Our 8 presidents who have died in office in the year 0. I think maybe Ronald Reagan might have broken that curse. He was elected in 1880, and he survived an assassination attempt, so maybe that snapped it. Anyway, I hope so. Well, that's about it for this week in history. But just to let you know that next week, well, we'll take a look at whether or not that is actually a traditional Thanksgiving dinner or not. Anyway, I'm Carl Lanning. This is Brazos River Charter School, and we look forward to seeing you right here next week.